Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to talk about genres. What is the genre that you should be making for 2022, for 2023, for the future? And we're going to try to solve this question using three things. We're going to talk about math, we're going to talk about definitions, and we're going to talk about the audience. But first, if you don't know, my name's Justin. I run a program called Cosmic Academy. We're an artist development program. We've been around for over 10 years. We work with over 500 producers, and all we care about is results. Our students have had amazing results. They signed to the biggest labels like Spinnin and Toolrom, Armada. They play the biggest shows. They play Ultra and EDC. We have 3 students playing EDC just this year. So we care about results, and we do these videos for you. We do these videos now for the public, so hopefully you'll get some results. So hopefully you do. So let's talk about these genres. Genres. What do I make? What's the hot genre? I want to talk about the sound of now. Before we do that, we should talk about some numbers. Let's talk about math, and then we'll talk about definitions, and then we're going to talk about the audience. Before we do that, you need to do something for me. Do me a favor, hit that like button. It's going to help the YouTube algorithm. As I said before, this is the first time we're taking any of the stuff from our premium program and putting it out there for free for the public. So we want to help a lot of people, so hit that like for me. So let's talk numbers. The reason why numbers are important is we have to understand the statistics behind these genres, behind listening habits. So first we have to understand what a billion means, because there's over 1 billion people on all the platforms you use. You know, YouTube has 2 billion plus people on it, Facebook 2 billion plus, Instagram 2 billion, you know, that's multiple billions, and it's hard to wrap our heads around that number. I've seen people try to explain this. I'll give you 2 different ways to think about it. Number one is if we were to take 1 million seconds and add them up, you would get around over a week of time, okay? But if you were to take 1 billion seconds and add that up, you would get 34 years of time. So you're comparing a week to 34 years. Another way to understand the difference between 1 million and 1 billion is by looking at distance. There's actually a great video about this on YouTube. A gentleman drives in a parking lot. I think it's 1 million feet. Okay, so he drives 1 million feet, and he essentially gets to the end of this parking lot. Okay, and then he says, "Okay, now I'm going to drive 1 billion feet." And oh my God, this guy drives for hours and hours. He ends up around the entire country of England, and that's really the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. And 1 billion is just so big. And why do I bring this up? What does this have to do with genres? I bring this up because if there's that many people, on these platforms, yes, there's enough millions of people to like what you like, no matter how niche, no matter how different it is. For instance, I was actually just teaching our premium program, our class the other night, and someone brought up the genre of witch house. It's a tiny little niche genre called witch house. Okay, and they're like, I make this niche genre. I make witch house. No one's gonna like my stuff because that's not the genre of today. And I stopped the class and we went on Spotify, and sure enough, we found artists on Spotify that have millions of plays for witch house. Okay, because there's that many people out there that I don't care how niche your stuff is, there's an audience for it. Number 2, let's talk about the definitions and genres. Oh my God, everyone on the internet is debating, well, what's the difference between techno and melodic techno and trance and progressive and rhythm and dubstep? And it's come to a point where I have no idea, right? Not only do I have no idea, but I don't think people care, okay? We spend so much time, you know, especially the producer, concentrating on what does this genre mean? What does that genre mean? What truly is techno music? You have to appreciate the fact that at this point, no one gives a shit. The average person on the street, if you were to go to the average person on the street and say, hey, tell me the difference between deep house and tech house, they're going to look at you like you're fucking crazy. All right? Unless they're like a producer of that music, they're not going to tell you the answer. And me, as someone who books talent and books shows, quite frankly, I never cared either. You know, the only thing I cared about, and this is a saying you've probably heard, is good music is good music, right? I'll never forget, I did a show. This was the actual lineup. Listen to this lineup. The lineup was Axwell from Swedish House Mafia, Pretty Lights, The Roots, which is a hip-hop band, and Imogen Heap. Think about that lineup. And I remember there are some of my producer friends, Justin, you can't do a lineup like this. The genres, they don't match. The genres are all over the place. And I said, no, it's all good music. And the audience liked it, and no one cared. With Axwell, did it match with Imogen Heap? Didn't matter. Great show. And that's happening with all the festivals. Ultra used to have one stage. Ultra now has 7, 8, 9 stages, and no one sits there and says, well, this is only the techno one. No, people are all over the place. All these festivals have so many stages, so many sounds, so many genres, that to sit there and just concentrate on this one genre, the next hot one, not worth it. So the definitions, sitting here and arguing over the semantics, doesn't really make much sense. And now finally, let's talk about the audience, okay? The audience that consumes this stuff. The audience that is sitting there listening to David Guetta or Calvin Harris or Tiesto, do you think they care that those artists are now making everything? Again, if you were to poll someone, say, hey, do you like Calvin Harris because of his progressive house music? Because he's a progressive house DJ? They probably have no idea what progressive house is. Nor do they notice or care when he's gone from different genres. They just like Calvin Harris. They connect to his brand, they connect to multiple songs and albums, etc. And that's what it is to the audience. The audience is not sitting there, kind of like the rest of us, kind of like the producers and the people really into the music, and dissecting the semantics of the genres. They're not looking at it like that. They just like the artist for those reasons. So let's go back to each thing. The math, well, number one, there's enough people out there that no matter what you're making, there's an audience for you. The semantics, trying to figure out what is deep house, what is techno, and sticking to that perfect definition, it's a futile thing to try to do. It's a waste of time. And then finally, the audience never thinks about it that way. They're not sitting around saying, well, right now tech house is really popular. No, they just like Fisher. Right now techno is really popular. Right now dubstep. They're not thinking about it like that. So then what's the answer? What should you make for 2023, for 2024? I'm sure you know what I'm going to say already, but let me throw a twist in. So I'm going to say yes, you need to make the music that you want to make. It doesn't matter what you think is hot right now. Trust me, there's enough people out there that they'll find the stuff that you like. And here comes the big but. But while I think you should make what you want to make, I do think that you need to be trying and learning from and testing out other genres. Here's why. Making the same sound is totally fine, but evolving in your knowledge, even if it's just for knowledge and learning and getting better, is very important. I'll give you a couple of famous examples. The Beatles started out making, if you want to call it bubblegum pop or radio pop, that's what they did. And then the Beatles went to India and famously tried a bunch of drugs and came back. And then they made Sgt. Pepper's. They made some of the most interesting stuff that no one ever heard before. And that's some of the best music, right? Jay-Z out of nowhere decides to do a mashup album with Linkin Park. Is that going to work out? He liked it. He tried it. And it was amazing. I still love the version of Encore with Numb. It's a great song. You look at someone like Skrillex. Out of nowhere, he takes Ausla, he turns a dubstep label, and he turns it into a house label. Starts putting out house music. He liked it. It was cool. Trying different things is not always a bad thing. And again, from a learning perspective, even if you were to take a step out of your genre and say, you know what, just for an educational example, I'm going to try making something different. You might say, hey, Deep House, they do drums like this. I make trance, but in Deep House, they do drums like that. I never thought about doing it that way. And that might give you ideas. I think a lot of times the reason why artists don't do this, I have over 500 plus students, been teaching for over 10 years. I think the reason why people won't do this or try new things or test new avenues is because they think that the labels or the audience or their friends are going to care. Oh, dude, no, you have to stick to the most specific type of techno. You have to stick to the most specific type of house. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And I can only go from my experience as a teacher all these years. I'll give you a great example. One of my students, Charles D., he's third or fourth artist ever signed with Eric Prydz on the Prida label. And he put out this record with another one of our students, Mansion. Mansion makes future bass. Okay? He makes future bass, heavy stuff. Charles D makes techno music. These people would not be on the same stage. These people you think would be totally different. They can't collaborate. That makes no sense. Why not? Right? And maybe some of you don't know these genres. Oh, the techno people are snobs. They would never want to. They did a record together. Mansion is singing his style on Charles's techno music, and they collaborated. And Charles, he showed this song to Eric Prydz. And again, you might think, well, Eric Prydz, he only likes a certain type of sound and a certain type of thing, and it's that genre. It's all in our heads. Because Eric Prydz loved the record, signed the record. The song went to #1 on the techno charts. Okay? So I've got plenty of stories like that, but I tell this to you, and I talk to you about the numbers, and I talk to you about these definitions in the audience because I want you to make what you love, but I also want you to not overthink it. Try some new stuff. Maybe you learn something, maybe you don't. It's not that big of a deal, okay? At the end of the day, if you're sitting there just chasing whatever new sound for a superficial reason because you think that's what the audience wants, you're going to end up probably hating what you do. And I can almost guarantee that everyone watching this video is doing music production because it's the thing that they love, okay? You want to go do something you hate, go work a 9-to-5 corporate office with the button down, right? No, you're doing this because you love it. So don't turn it into something that, oh, I have to make that genre. I have to try to keep up with the big sound for 2023. I hope that exploring this topic made you feel a little bit better about some of these things. Just remember, there's so many people out there. If you understand the brand, if you make good music, there's millions of people that listen to that artist that makes the Witch House. There'll be millions of people that listen to your stuff too. There's stages for you. There's people like me that want to book all types of music, and keep doing what you love. That's what this is about. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.